Hitting go live.
Okay.
There we go. We're live. How's it going, everybody? Hi,
Hi,
Sam.
Dr. Nick. Hi, Stuart.
What's that?
Oh, a couple of things, but we're here to talk about live. Well, no, we're here to do the live. We're not to talk about
Yes.
it. That'd be ridiculous. Yes, running commentary on our live. In our live.
Yes.
What meta that would be.
Anyway, welcome back, guys. Thank you for joining us today. Yeah, today we're doing another ranked tier list, but it's viewer's choice. You guys get to throw in who you'd like us to talk about from all the sci-fi, any of the great characters. It's a $5 minimum, though, so we don't get, like, stacked up with, like, $2 ones.
We want to discuss. We want to have that debate.
Yeah.
At least the right amount.
Yes, so, if you have anybody you want to see on the list and throw in, by all means, send us $5 super chat, and we will add them, for sure.
Because when I pitched it to Stuart, in my head it was like, I've never considered them as a comparative. You know, how epic is X to Z when you start to rank on that level of list. So I thought, you guys have thrown some really interesting suggestions. I mean, look at the thumbnail. That's a broad range of just radically different types, and you might find that, you know, this character's not quite the top, again in contrast after. So and you know, if you don't know the character, sorry, but we'll let you pick again. Chance of us not knowing either is some. You know, if you pick like a 1970s comic serial character that had a one-off cartoon, it's like, yeah. Or if one of us feels strongly, that person should take the conversation as well. But yeah, it could be very interesting. Put in some people, and we'll see what happens.
Yes.
I'll start sharing.
Start sharing. I want to tell these guys to hit the like button if you haven't already. We have 15 likes, which is a fantastic way to start out, but we can do better. Let's try to get up to 20 at least. Hit the like button if you're just joining us. And consider joining the channel. There's a join button down there on YouTube, as well as over on Patreon/Trekyards. You can join the channel and get some cool perks and get on Discord and all that cool stuff. Lots of stuff coming there, by the way. So if you're a member, stay tuned. And if you're not a member, check it out. Look at the options for. It's not that expensive, honestly, for a monthly thing. Anyway, so that's an option. Also, super chatting on this live definitely will help. And anything you guys can help us out with, even like I said, just hitting that like button, sharing the content around. There's a lot of ways to help. Also, check the links down below to the Teespring and the TeePublic store. Get yourself some cool Trekyards merch. You know you want it.
Yeah.
So
it helps us indeedly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we've got a couple of preloaded ones. So we wanted to, you know, have some, but already we've got one new one, so I will start adding the new as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so how do you feel about, you know, the characters in sci-fi? Have you ever thought of like a comparative? Can you compare? Do you think? Like
some you might be able to.
Like how do you vote? I mean, is it pure epicness? Is it value to the story? Is it personal? Like, I mean, will women looking nice always outweigh men in less shirts for you personally? You know, those sorts of important questions.
No, it's more about how they present themselves, the background they have, the history, the world building around a specific character. Okay. There's a lot going on with this one that I think we should take into account.
Gut reaction, I think a lot of this.
The different iterations as well.
Yes, that I didn't want to get into the depth of, but of course, if you guys say, you know, the T1000, the T800 from T2 is different to T1, super fair, we could do that, but that's a broader thing than having 5 Terminators on one thing. But as you guys insist, etc. Are you going to take into account like a bad performance if the character is very interesting? Like, is that going to factor in, or does the performance also need to be great? If you know what I mean.
Performance should be great, but yeah, I mean, if you got a bad sequel and there's they change the actor, it can affect the epicness of the character as a whole.
Yeah.
But if you drill it down to just like this, it's their first appearance in their first movie,
or just their best appearance, even.
Yeah, then it's a little bit of a different thing. So it'll be interesting to see how that all factors in here. So
I don't know if like some performances can be so good but also bad. You know what I mean? There's a like, these are just good characters. There's a lot to that. So yeah, why don't you pick? There's a broad spectrum here. So pick somebody in no particular order, and I'm able to add in new people as we go. So yep, add them in as we do with the first batch, and should be all prepped when you guys put them in. Where do you want to start?
We'll start with T800.
Dun dun
dun dun dun dun dun.
Go for it, Stuart.
As far as a character goes, he's definitely come a long way and grown quite a bit in the sequels. Not all for the better necessarily. He started out as a non-stop killing machine with one focus and one drive, and then became much more complex, even in just the second movie, which is arguably probably better than the first, depending how you look at it. But he became the good guy, and it's been a mixed bag since then of him kind of flip-flopping between good and bad and getting some nuance and some additional things going on. But at the same time, it's still like this epic, like it's one of the first things you think about when you think about like sci-fi movies is like T2 or the Terminator. And I think Arnold Schwarzenegger did a fantastic job. I'm glad they did not go with the original choice of O.J. Simpson, because nobody could see him as a violent killer. So I don't know. It's one of those things that just in the Mandela Effect world somewhere out there, there's an Earth that has O.J. Simpson as the Terminator, and that could have changed the course of his life as well. But we got Arnie, and I think that's really great.
And we saw one particular universe where Sylvester Malone was the Terminator. We did see that universe.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the T800 is definitely an iconic character.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, because of all of the different movies and iterations of him,
yeah,
there's been a lot of kind of back and forth on that. But yeah, considering just the first two movies, I'd say pretty epic. But then you add all the other stuff, and he sells drapes in one of the movies.
I thought that was quite amusing. Yeah, no, I mean the T800, the Terminator, Arnie's face, ostensibly. To put that much personality yet non-personality into a role as a robot, that's just you can't get it. It's like him and Wolverine, right? Hugh Jackman just nailed it in a way that you couldn't really predict until you see him. It just works, and then to nuance that character throughout iterations, going from being literally shoot a guy in the face with his own gun in his gun store to selling drapes, hell of a reach. But yeah, I mean, this will be iconic, and I'm certainly Arnie at his prime. The fact that he always liked it enough to come back time and again, so we got even if they're not the best movies, we've got to appreciate more with the characters, even in CG form. And given that there's been 2 extremely good CG hymns into the films, if he does sign his likeness away in years to come, we should still get Arnie's, because unlike most characters, he can just be a right. Thank you, CG Arnie. That was a perfect performance, and it would be fine. So yeah, I think he is an iconic S, because also he's in 2 excellent films, and also catchphrases and performance and nuance. It's a character that shouldn't necessarily work, and I think he did a lot with it. So I'm going to say straight out of the gate with a iconic S.
Sure, yeah, the catchphrases and stuff I think is also a good metric to use.
Yeah,
quotable lines. So
and I didn't see T2 knowing he was the goodie. So I remember I was rooting for the T1000 the entire film until the turn.
Well, yeah, that's the point.
But it's not though, because the trailer they revealed it. Because having not done that at the time, I watched it after. Obviously, I actually got the full effect of the twist, and it was a tremendous twist.
So did I when I was younger. Yeah, I got
really good twist.
Yeah, it was great.
Excellent.
All right. Well, let's get to a super chat one.
Yes.
The first one is, of course, we've got Malcolm Mal Reynolds, captain of the Serenity Firefly, from Olivia.
Yes.
Thank you, Olivia. There he is, Mr. Browncoat himself, Nathan Fillion.
Young Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
Because he's gone through stages.
This character could have been so much better if they had done more seasons. That's all I'm saying. That being said, he's a really likable guy, kind of that Han Solo kind of swashbuckling kind of pirate. And I really enjoyed his performance. I think Nathan Fillion's great. He was great in Castle. He's great in a lot of the things he does. And this is, like you said, young Nathan Fillion. I think for the lack of him that we actually got in the grand scheme of what could have been, I think we got a really good fleshed out character, and I think he did a fantastic job with his portrayal of it. So, yeah.
Although I wonder if you counted minutes of screen time, him versus Arnie as a Terminator. Because he's the lead of that show, and Arnie's...
That'd be interesting.
You know what I mean? I think it would probably be comparable, if not he has a bit more. Yeah, really great show. The writing is just so elaborately interesting that it's a character straight off the page, right? Just the nuance of the dialogue is just so different. But yeah, he's charming. He is vulnerable. He's not the most brave. He's actually a really well-balanced character. He's not a pirate, but he kind of is. You know, going from proud soldier to sort of proud pillager, but still keeping his morals of the soldier. Like, that's the dichotomy of his life. Really good. I think I want to give him an A because of the performance, but I don't think there's something missing, and I think you're right, it's just lack of longer time with him. That he was very, very good, but missed out on that top slot, because he's also so relatable. He's not necessarily a special, because you get him, but he's not a time traveling robot from the future with movies, and there's a, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm thoroughly happy with an A for that.
Just the dialogue performance, yeah. And I think Nathan's one of the most bankable TV actors. He's been not out of work in a regular series as the lead for like 26 years. I mean, it's just because he's great. He's really great. And he's not even the same in everything, because Castle is not the same as Firefly. And then I've seen a little bit of Rookie, and he's closer, but he's still not the same.
Yeah, I've still not seen the Rookie. I need to.
I mean, it's still going, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. My daughter Cassie's been watching it and says I need to watch it because we got her into Castle and she loved that.
Yeah,
it was kind of funny. Nice. I think you got the wrong thing on the screen. Oh, there we go. Fixed it. Okay. Let's see. We'll do another super chat one real quick here. Okay. Ray Ricks is next with the Agent Smith, Hugo Weaving, not Jonathan Groff from The Matrix. Well, yeah, that's the only Agent Smith there is, in my opinion. Mr. Anderson. Now, this guy, as a villain, I think is fantastic. That measured approach to the way he delivers his dialogue, very imposing and intimidating. While not being a big, burly guy, he's not Terminator, but he's dangerous. And his stoic, stone face for all of his most of his performance, later when he becomes kind of humanized, it's a bit different. But honestly, and to see him like put his fist into another agent and like create more of himself, I mean, that's just wow. So yes, and the introduction to him as well, grabbing Neo off the street and taking him up to a room, and then all of a sudden his mouth like seals shut. It's just terrifying. You don't know what the hell's going on the first time you watch this. Yeah. There's a lot to this character, and I think it was a shame kind of what happened to his character by the last movie, honestly, just because.
Oh, that's weird.
They kind of took away some of the. But I mean, the Matrix movies just got worse and worse. Essentially, they kind of took away some of the intimidation factor of him. So. But no, I think he's a fantastically iconic sci-fi character.
Sorry, she's doing weird things. Hold on. There we go. Maybe.
While he's doing that, tell you guys to go vote on the poll. Overall, do you prefer sci-fi villains or heroes when you think best characters?
What's going on?
Villains or heroes? Go choose.
What the hell's going on here?
I have no
idea.
Is
that upside down or backwards? Sorry, this is doing strange. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Well, hit like, everybody, and think of some people you'd like to see us talk about, because
that's the name of the game.
We do have a few set aside in case we run out of super chats that we can pull in, but we kind of like this to be driven by you guys, as it is a viewer's choice. So.
No, I mean, Agent Smith is tremendous. Anybody that can make a generic suit character sing, because it's the most basic white bread look, is the point, because they're meant to blend in, right? They are literally part of the scenery. To make that sort of character go so far beyond I can't imagine that he was envisioned to be anything involved in the second and third film, if there had been, because of course he died. There was a very correct thematic end to the character. Done. Tick. Moving on. Oh wait, he was so freaking good. Let's unkill him. Yeah, good choice. You know, that's because of his performance, and he resonated with people. Yeah, calm, collected, and he's one of those characters where, because he does not raise his tone, when he does, it becomes all the more powerful. Every little big moment is 10 times bigger because he's so small in moments. But he's all. Oh. It's like he's the epitome of that style of character, but it's not a very deep character, but it also is. And I do think, because I'm going to include his human persona in the Smith character, because it's very good as like closeness, but that is not as interesting. I think if I was just looking at the original film, I'd say he was like astounding in what he was given. And there's sort of a confusion. I don't know, where are you going with this? Because I'm kind of rambling. What's your gut?
I'm sitting here considering, would I want to be chased down by a Terminator or Agent Smith?
And I suppose be the Matrix or not.
I'm kind of thinking that I'd much rather have the Terminator after me, because I think I can maybe understand his logic and reasoning a bit better, even though it is terrifying still. But the fact that there are multiple agents that can be controlled by this guy and literally become this guy, yeah. So I'm gonna put him at S tier. Again, another.
Right.
How is it we have two villains that I want to put at S tier, and the one good guy we talked about today?
Yeah, it's.
I think the poll results kind of say it all, honestly.
Yeah, see, my gut was between a B and an A, because there's something about it that I'm like, it's not quite. Like, you think Arnie, you think genre defining, you think past, it will always live on. Smith is definitive and iconic, but he's not an industry villain. Like, he's not on t-shirts, he hasn't got characters. You know, there's a lot smaller footprint of this character by a substantial mile than the S of Arnie. That's what I'm kind of comparing to a little bit. He's epic in this lane, but he's not the broader lanes, you know?
Who would you rather be chased by? Who would you be more scared of?
Well, that's difficult, because you can just kill the agent in the head and he dies and comes back again. If you're in the Matrix, then it's not a fair fight, because he can just become your neighbor and shoot you in the head. If you're not in the Matrix, he's just some guy in a body. So Arnie, I think, overall, because the question's too difficult, and you can just shoot Smith and he will go ooh, you know, if you're quick enough, and if you, because remember, Trinity did shoot him in the head, so if you catch him unaware, you can kill him the one time.
But he comes right back.
He comes right. I kind of want to put this guy as an A, just out of, I think that's something special. So that will be up to the chat. Make up the mind which one, or lower. I mean, super chat will clinch it.
Yeah, and even like a $2 super chat,
yeah,
just to where you want him, A or S.
Yeah, this is whatever.
Because we can't quite agree. I think he should be S tier.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. Yeah, put in your deciding vote, guys.
So yeah, you guys get to pick, or after, or just put it in the regular chat and we'll tally them up, kind of deal. But one super chat will clinch it. So if Agent Smith is one of your favorites, $2 super chat will do it. Such a great portrayal, and this actor is so diverse as well. Like, he did the voice of Megatron in the original Transformers movie.
Oh yeah.
You wouldn't have known it was him necessarily.
No, I wouldn't.
And then so yeah, and then also the Lord of the Rings and stuff. Like, he's a fantastic actor. So Ray Ricks, £2, S tier.
Okay.
Ray will throw him right there. All right, what is next? Ray Ricks, £5, Starbuck BSG 2004.
I guess I'll jump on this, so we're kind of reversing a little bit. Yeah, classic lady. Kind of suffers a little bit from the variable writing, as in there's a lot of really good Starbuck and there's a lot of, she's there, she's fine. And because unlike the movies where, like, that's it, TV show, she's not the lead, right, so she's not getting as much time. But really good performance, really compelling character. I don't quite like the season 3 arc after Caprica. Like, I like season 1 her when she's pure, of like that's the character, and obviously when she gets reincarnated, it's like, oh, okay, there's no answer there, so therefore she can't generate a performance that's meaningful because she doesn't know what's happening herself, right? But the core of the character, really good, classic, feisty woman, but also still nuanced, and you know why, and lots of pain, lots of strength, and yeah, I think it is definitely the actress that's rocking the part. I think lots of women would just be okay. I think she's the one that's giving it the extra. So, yeah, really good and memorable from the show.
Hashtag still not my Starbuck, even though she's great. I wish she would have been another character and not Starbuck. I think in season 1 she was trying a little too hard to be like Dirk Benedict, but
makes sense.
It does get, yeah, there's a lot of layers to the character, and as you said, kind of when the whole thing happens, she yeah, I don't know. I think Katie Sackhoff is great, honestly, and she kind of won me over with that role because I was never a very big Katie Sackhoff fan until I watched all of Battlestar. Now I'm definitely on board. So as far as the character goes, though, she's just generic kind of badass at first, and
where's the performance? It's a nuanced generic badass. Like I say, the archetype is there, but she gives it that sort of effortless charm and also that punchability, as in she wants to punch people. I would go strong B personally. So I
was thinking B myself. So
I think she owns the part, but of course she's not a lead, and I don't like a chunk of her arc. But I think they did sort of like cycle around a bit the drain of terms like, well, what else could we do with these people? You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely happy with the B. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Because this is grading on a curve, right? That's why this is an interesting spectrum to see where do we actually vote for people.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep super chatting your additions. We're going to put in a $2. Do we include that?
No.
Okay.
The rules are posted at the top there. It's $5 minimum.
So we'll put in another 3. We'll do it.
Ray Ricks, 5 pounds. Starbuck, BSG 2004. Just did that one.
Yes. Well done,
Mark Lawrence, $5. Kurtwood Smith as Clarence Boddicker, and RoboCop. Not super fleshed out, but fun.
I'd buy that pick for $1.
Bitches leave. Yes. Kurtwood Smith.
What a thing.
He's another great actor. And yeah, as far as the bad guys go, I don't think there's much layering or nuance to him. He's just a bad guy. And he's kind of a thug too, because he's hired by one of the higher ups at OCP. And so I don't know. I don't think there's a lot going on with the character. And sure, he's intimidating and all that, and he does blow off Murphy's hand. I mean, that's pretty brutal, but
yeah, just a bit.
Yeah. As far as great, fantastic A or S tier sci-fi character, I don't think he's quite there. That's my personal opinion. Although Kurtwood Smith is fantastic in pretty much every role he does. So
yeah, this is such a. I think it was that 70s show, and then also then Krenim guy in Voyager. The fact that he can play the worst, most scummy, drug-dealing bad guy that loves being a bastard, and then plays a dad that you love to hate. And then a very relatable, gentle Krenim guy. Like, there's 3 very different performances without much in common. Good actor, right? Yeah, no, it's very memorable for a film that has 4 very good villains. He is still a very good villain in that film. You know, you've got the main corporate guy, you've got the secondary corporate guy, you've got Ed 209, then you've got him. All 4 are great, just in different ways. So that's a commendment to him to be memorable. Now, he's the low level of that triad, 4ad, whatever. But yeah, good performance, good lines, a lot of personality. You can hear just having fun, just loving what he's doing. And yeah, he does not get lost in the movie. I would have given him a high C in this tiering. Because yeah, he still wouldn't get to B for me because obviously only got had like 20 minutes of screen time. But I mean, hey, yeah, I mean, still solid high C for me.
I was thinking mid C, but yes, I will agree with this.
Yeah.
And Matthew,
yeah,
yes. Yeah. Matthew, the rules are pinned at the top of the chat there, so. All right. Sergeant Montgomery says $2. Optimus Prime 80s. One shall stand, one shall fall. Yes, indeed. Not enough to get him on the board yet, though.
Yes.
So, anyone else have anything they'd like to put in? Now's the time.
But who else do we have in the lineup?
Well, let's pull somebody down. Oh, after
A pretty broad spectrum of people here.
Yes, we do.
Although, in fairness, quite a few S's potentially, so I probably stacked the board a little bit in there. But that's okay. Ah, yes.
6.
Double S. I mean, double D. No, double...
He's definitely not a double D.
Doesn't. Yeah. Have you met Trisha?
I've not.
I have not either. I've met Starbuck, but I haven't met Trisha. She just seems so likable because she was a model. This is her first acting gig, and the fact that she owns the role effortlessly, flawlessly, charismatically, with depth. She isn't that blonde bimbo. You sense all this lovely in the brain stuff, and then she had a successful acting career from the show because she was such a standout. When you can be a very attractive lady and a great character and a great performance and then layered performance, that's a top ranking something, right?
Oh, for me, she's S. I'm just gonna say it right, not because of the way she looks. She's not. Anyway, she, as you said, in that role had so much, again, nuance and layering. She played different characters, and I think she killed it because it was her first role. It was fantastic to see her kind of do her thing, and every time she was on screen with Baltar, it's like, what is going on here? Because sometimes it's quite obvious, other times there's a way, like, it's just the way she's kind of getting into his psyche. It was again so well done. Yeah, for me, she's an S just because the amount she's in that show and the way it kind of hinges on her and Baltar, I think is quite impressive.
Okay, I like the way they're selling it to me because she isn't a Terminator, but performance-wise, the fact is that, and again hammering down the same point, but she plays, especially from season 2 onwards, for the entire show, she is 2 entirely different characters. She's a angel of God who is very ethereal, mythical, and then we see the real her again. She's a very different character who grows. And besides those 2 radically different performances, then she has about 7 other one-offs or two-offs that one is heavily abused, really hard to watch. One is a geek, that's one for whatever. There's a great scene in The Plan where you see several of her meet up that you see because it's a flashback-based episode, so movie, so it like goes throughout the timeline. So you see one of her deal with another one of her, and you see the contrast in one scene of like, she has to be a geek, she has to be not a geek. I mean, it literally is everything. And there is, even the geek her is great. And there's this ethereal nature to her. She gives that presence. Yeah. So I think for performance, I will agree with an S, because it makes Mal look like a lower end performance in comparison. And he's great, but this is so layered. Mm-hmm. And she's more screen time than Arnie or Hugo by a substantial amount, actually. So yeah, go with S under those very unique criterion, because and yeah, for her to both commit suicide and save somebody and blow a planet all in the same scene after just having sex in the same like, to use your body to stop a guy from dying from a nuclear holocaust. What a right thing to write in a script. Like, that's a scene that's hard to write. Goodness darn. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I would love to meet her, because she's just an interesting person.
Indeed. Well, while we're waiting, we have some more, but while we get those ready, we'll pull in somebody else to chat about.
Yeah, put in your picks and we'll discuss them. This is fun. This is a...
Seriously.
Stu hadn't seen them yet, so...
Jar Jar Binks.
Oh! Misa's part of this? Oh! Moi talks to it.
See, I don't hate Jar Jar Binks as much as the average person does. I see what George Lucas was trying to do, but I get all the complaints about him for sure. And they definitely learned their place and toned him down for the next 2 movies substantially. But he is responsible for the Empire. Just saying.
Just a bit.
I feel bad for the actor. He did great with what he was given, honestly. And I hate that it kind of like blacklisted him a little bit and kind of stereotyped him into a role, but
It's funny because you can't tell it's him.
well, yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, well, he looks like our best. No, he doesn't. He's a floppy-eared reptile man. Of course he doesn't.
I think. Okay, that's what I have to say for right now. He was a comedic relief. It definitely came across. He's for the kids. That's fine. I don't hate him as much as everybody else. That's where I'm going to leave that. What do you think?
So I'm a bit... There's a slight split in my brain, right? I will forget most of his dialogue pieces in the movie and think about the achievement of this art design. It's a genuinely good designed character. And the addition of it in The Phantom Menace and seeing the behind the scenes is such an insanely ambitious thing to do, and they did it so well. Considering when he holds up fine today. Absolutely fine. So, beautiful achievement, right? And also, I like the speech pattern, clearly. I've been doing an impression for years. Not a good one, obviously, but some. Like, it's a very interesting, like, screen card. Like, if you had summarized him and then heard the voice, you'd be like, okay, cool. It's when he starts talking more than a sentence, you're like, oh, fuck. And that's the script writing of George. That's the only problem here. Had this been anybody else, and I certainly wish... I know that they bring him back occasionally, which is lovely. I certainly wish they'd done some focus. Even, as silly as it sounds, a Jar Jar movie, but, like, write him better. I could get behind. Animated, just to let him... whatever. I mean, like a small one, like a full feature, like an episode, I mean. But, like, something I could totally just see, just to give the character one shining thing. And, yeah, the fact that he's allowed to be representative of Naboo is like, oh, God. But I don't hate him. And it's not because I was young at the time, because I didn't have any of the feelings that everyone that was very young had. But he's memorable. He's very freaking memorable. Like, he will outlive, in terms of popular culture, Mal, Starbuck, Six, Dr. Smith, Mr. Smith, whatever. He will outlive every voice of the Terminator in this list. Just saying, right? All that said, I will still give him a D for character, because he fails to achieve what they think he's trying to achieve. He's not actually funny.
If he had been Darth Jar Jar, I would have elevated him immensely, because that was a fantastic idea.
Yeah, that was
but
pure genius.
Sadly, we didn't get that.
And I know it's humor subjective, but if you only laugh at him when you're 5, guess what? Your audience is only 5 for 1 year, and they grow up and they watch it again, and then say, oh no, it's not funny anymore. But you can have funny characters that are funny when you're young, old, and medium. That's what the original Disney films were, right? So they should have nuanced him in that layeredness, and they could have made him a universal.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm going to shuffle him off now. Ray Ricks, 5 pounds. Emmett Brown, Back to the Future. Crazy Professor. Yeah, fantastically portrayed as well. I got to admit that the acting is just sublime for this character. Yet over the top. Sublime is kind of...
Great Scott!
Yeah, it's... I can't picture anyone else in the role. He pulls off the crazy professor, but brilliant professor at the same time very well. He's got the look, he's got the crazy eyes, he's got the hair, and his erratic behavior. Yet he's very measured as well. But he's OCD. He's all over the place. He's ADHD, I guess. I don't know, but. I think Christopher Lloyd did a great job with this. Christopher Lloyd is also another fantastic actor, and it's one of those roles I can't see anyone else in the role. I don't think there's any bad things about him necessarily. There's even some supplemental stuff like the Universal.
There's a lot of supplemental content.
Yeah, the Universal like ride where he's giving you the tour of the facility. There's a lot of stuff out there with this character. Okay, so yeah, that's my thought on it real quick. I don't know what else to say necessarily, but what do you think?
Yeah, I love the fact that he's one of the few actors that will always take the paycheck, because he's in so many things. The fact that he was in Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane's Wild Wild West, as just a walk into barn. There's clearly all the stuff about Future 3. That little thing is so tiny, but it's so meaningful and so heartwarming to the audience that he'll come in and do that level of thing. He did a Nike commercial in like 3 years ago, just for the hell of it. He did a video game. He did several videos, I believe. He's done loads of little things. He will always bring his character back if he's asked, even though he's had a speech impediment for many years and he's hard to speak. Gives it his all. I mean, the welly this man will give the performance. What I always was interested about now as an adult, I always thought this guy was old when I watched it when I was young because of the white hair, right? I always thought he was in his 60s, 70s as a granddad. But then I read a piece, last week actually, where in Back to the Future 2, when you meet him, he looks older to imply he's had an adventure, and then he rips off his face in a scene to reveal how he actually looks. And that was actually Christopher Lloyd doing it for real. He hated having to wear makeup every day, so he said, F it, I'm going to do this in the scene and make it like, look, I've done it, I've ruined it. And then now he looked young again. And I always thought, but he was old, and he still looked old, but because the white hair is what says it. I guess he's only in his 50s, and he looked fine. So for him to be old now, it's like, but he looked old then, but he didn't. So, you know, because he plays 20 years different in the film, because of course he's 20 years different. But to me, they're identical. But I haven't gone back and watched it properly as an adult for a long time. But yeah, I mean, absolutely definitive. Weird and almost undefinable, because mad scientist does not define it. Crazy scientist doesn't. Energetic doesn't. And to see the darker side in the past, more fun side in the present, gets shot by terrorists, because that's a great start to a film. And then I love him in the other 3 films. Yeah, really, really good performance. And this is again the one that will live on. I don't know if the whole performance lives on. I think the caricature will live on. Great Scott! Like, that will live on. I don't know if the whole performance will live on. And certainly not the visual of him necessarily, I think. Because it's not so plain, but it's like, you know what I mean? Yeah. What do you think? Can't he? Still can't he?
If you go to the quotability, I mean, Great Scott, 1.21 gigawatts.
1.21 gigawatts!
I think I think he's probably an S tier for me.
I love him so much, but I still want to say A, but very high A. I'm so close on that. Cause it's such a grounded performance in that he's not an alien compared to the other ones. What do you guys think? I'm right in the middle there.
Well, if anybody wants to super chat in to lock it in for A or S tier, let us know. But Sergeant Montgomery goes $3 and says, "You villains, lol. I can't see rules on mobile app." And you're right. I just checked. I didn't know that the pinned message isn't on the chat, so I'm sorry about that. Can you add a $5 thing at the top, like a text?
Yes.
$5 minimum character selection.
Sure.
Because Mark Lawrence throws in 301 for Sergeant Montgomery for the Optimus Prime, and then he's got another. So we'll get to that in a second. So, but yeah, what do you guys rank this one? S or A tier?
I'm right in the middle. You guys can convince me by just convincing me. Would you agree he's a low S if he was an S?
No.
Okay.
For iconicness, just thinking of like, he's one that's visually, and I can hear his voice. Like, it's one of those things that will stand the test of time, and I think be very iconic and memorable. So that's kind of my grading curve on that one.
Yeah. What do you guys think? We do want the audience feedback. Okay, that did work. Make in Photoshop. Toggle status. Ooh. Yeah, some good suggestions. Okay, so that's
Ray Ricks, £2, locks it in at S tier, so thank you.
I was right on that line, so thank you for pushing me over and forcing the stampede to get me.
If only that were true. What's next? Oh yeah, Mark. Oh yeah, I'll go to Sergeant Montgomery's Optimus Prime. And I know he said 80s Prime, but this is a better picture of Prime. Very reminiscent of the 80s one.
Okay.
Optimus Prime, iconic leader of the Autobots, and voiced by Peter Cullen. Again, in a lot of different properties. Other people have done Optimus Prime's voice, of course, but For iconicness, it's definitely an S. I don't think I'm going to quite rank him that high, though, just because the character has a lot of... Sure, he's heroic, and sure, he's a great leader, and he gives good speeches, and he'll never send somebody to do something he wouldn't do himself. But he makes questionable decisions at times, especially in the 80s cartoon. And as a leader, he's not quite sure of himself. He's got imposter syndrome, basically. He doesn't think he should be in that role necessarily. Doesn't think he's good enough to lead the Autobots and have the Matrix necessarily. But he doesn't show that all the time. But there are instances where you see it. So it kind of adds a layer to him. But I think I'm going to get slapped if I don't say S, but I don't know if I want to put him at S, just because I'm very biased on this character because I grew up with this, and I love Optimus Prime. But I'm just thinking of all of the different iterations of him as well, including the Michael Bay movies, where again he makes really stupid goddamn decisions, and just brutally kills Decepticons and stuff. Oh my goodness. Other iterations like Transformers Prime, I think the character's done really well. Again, he's always got that second. He's always second guessing himself, but he doesn't always portray that to people, as you shouldn't. As a leader, you shouldn't. You should have a strong face and instill confidence that you know what you're doing, even though you might second guess yourself. So that's where I'm going to leave it for now. Anyway, go ahead. What do you think? I know you're not really that familiar with that.
Oh yeah, I've seen the Michael Bay. I've seen Beast Wars, but only once when I was like 9. So my only issue with this character is that if I was to summarize him, I would just say good leader. That's all. I know nothing else about him at all, because he's a robot that I don't. Is he the lead of Transformers? I feel like it's an ensemble show, so he's just like, certainly the Michael Bay. He's not.
It is an ensemble show, but he's the leader of the Autobots.
But like, I mean, Michael Bay films, he's just sort of there. Like they're either finding him or rescuing him. Like he's not really a character in that enough. Like Bumblebee's the one, or is Megatron has more characterization. So for me,
he asked for specifically 80s.
Well, sure. But I'm saying as a character, 2-dimensional, but he's trying to be 2-dimensional, right? Like he's just like, oh, he's this and this. So but certainly iconic voice, iconic body. I just don't think there's that much to the character. I like this about the doesn't be a leader, but that confused me a little bit because he's still a robot, so he could just change the programming, or he could
He also used to be Orion Pax, just like a civilian who got the Matrix of leadership and became Optimus Prime. Like there's a lot going on with the character, even in the 80s cartoon. It's expanded on in different media, of course, but actually, you know what? Just because of the amount of content out there for him, I might bump him up to S tier because he is iconically recognizable. And yes, leader is the first thing that pops into most people's minds, and that's exactly what he is. Be a strong leader.
Yeah, so I'll give you this S as long as you give me one that you trust me on later.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because like I say, my knowledge is limited. Still love the guy, but I wouldn't say he's 3-dimensional very much. But that's not what I've seen him as. So, although hey, the new film, right? Brand new film is coming out, which is he's a proper hero, and it's all about it feels like it's all about characterization, which is
well, that's him as Orion Pax before he becomes Optimus Prime. But yeah,
his name was Orion Pax.
Yeah,
it's a great name. It's a great terrible name. It's like yeah.
All right, and to continue with Mark Lawrence's, he wanted Christopher Lee as Sauron from Lord of the Rings. There we go. Do you want to go first on this one, or?
Yeah, no, really good performance. Really iconic actor, of course. Fun to watch. Really good they got for both trilogies, because, a long time later. I haven't seen The Hobbit past the first one, because... No, I haven't seen past the second one, because they weren't that good, and they're very long, so I didn't bother watching the third one. I should at some point, but they're very long, and they're not good long, they're just long. But I like he's kind of a goodie in that, which is actually more fun in a lot of ways. Like seeing, I know in the third one there's more of that, so that's exciting. Yeah, he's I would say a very bog standard evil wizard. As that sentence makes sense. Like, he is what he is. It's Christopher Lloyd that gives him those little nuances of, oh, he's fun to watch. The yelling and the persona and the... I would love to have seen more of him, like I say, before he went rogue, to see his characterizations with other people, to see him deal with the elves, and that would have been interesting to me. And then the turn. You know, why is he going with... Because once you get past that first scene where he throws him off, you know, whatever, as in throws Gandalf off the thing, like, he's then this path the whole rest of the thing. I would love to see more scenes of him.
Yeah.
But still great. Not as good as Gandalf, but of course Gandalf's doing a lot more.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good.
I sent you a thing just so it's more clear at the top, just like one line.
Yes, I copied the YouTube one.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay.
Because they have to know the amount, right? So anyway, yeah, Christopher Lee, fantastic. Unfortunately, this character didn't get the send off that they initially had planned for the movie. Like, there's a really great scene of like his final scene,
As in the third Hobbit film.
Yeah, that they cut out entirely.
Oh. As in he didn't film it, or he?
No, it's filmed. It's done. It's gone. It's
Oh,
you
damn.
can look it up on YouTube. I just saw it like probably 5 months ago, and I was like, "What? This is a thing that exists."
That sucks.
I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan necessarily. I have watched the movies, but I'm not like into the lore and all that, so I don't know quite.
Not into the lore of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. He's for me. He's all right. He's a typical evil wizard. I know there's more to the character, but
That's after the film. That's before the film start.
Yeah.
Like, he's already had that transition point.
so I mean, Christopher Lee's a great actor, but I can't put him super high on the list for
The
me.
thing is, if I said to you in any day of the week, evil wizard, he'd be right there. And in
No,
your top...
I would not picture him first. No,
well, who'd you picture first then?
I honestly don't know, but I wouldn't picture him.
Okay, because I definitely would. Good wizard Gandalf, bad wizard him. That'd be instantly who I'd pick mentally. I don't know that many evil wizards, to be fair. But he's certainly whatever. Now, evil witch, wicked and such, you know. But
I'd pick like Broomhilda from the Looney Tunes cartoons, or the Wicked Witch of the West. Yeah.
I would say strong C for the same reasons Kurtwood Smith. Great performance, not quite as nuanced in an actually nuanced way because he was only given so much. And you compare to Cara Thrace, he's a more interesting performance, but she has a more interesting character. So there's why I would go lower. Yeah. That now we're getting to difficulty because I don't want to go B. Convince us to go B. You're welcome to make us go B. That's up to you as super chats. But I think I would say happy to go strong C.
Yeah, and you guys, if you don't agree with something, you can move it with a $5 super chat as well, up or down one tier.
As you guys know.
All right.
Yeah, good debate.
So let's see.
Yep, one of our picks. As I bring those in.
Okay, one of our picks. Let's go with. I don't know what this is. It's at the back, so I just put it in.
Ooh.
Teal'c.
Yes.
Indeed. Classic fish out of water alien, but so well portrayed. And again, there's a lot to this character. A lot of backstory, a lot of family issues, and a lot of dealing with things, put it that way. And also kind of the Captain America syndrome of I've watched Star Wars, like I've checked that out. I know what that is. So I think Chris Judge did a great job with this character. And he's so unlike Chris Judge, it's amazing. So, yeah, this is top marks for me all across the board. Plus, there's so much out there on him. Even, you know, the one episode where he was like, what, 50 years or something, or more than that, to wait for them. It's a classic sci-fi stoic character, and he's fantastic. So. That's all I got to say. I know Sam's got a lot of things to say about this, probably.
Met him loads of times. I've seen him drunk loads of times. I've seen him sing a couple of times. Now, this is very much similar to the we just had with Optimus Prime. Like, I'm obviously massively biased towards this character because this is a super important show for my life, and he is one of the 4 leads, but he is arguably the least important of the 4 leads in terms of ranking, although characterization is given a lot. So so I don't want to be really biased here, but the thing is, the acting is superb, the evolution of the character is superb, and let's be brutally honest, he's a better Worf, sorry. Like, they're the same-ish character, but this one does it 10 times better because he's actually given main character syndrome and a story. Worf is the same from day one when he becomes main character, the end of day one, give or take. This guy's not. This guy's a true arc. He's a much better Worf than Worf. But will he be remembered in 40 years? Probably not. Is he beloved by everybody who watches SG-1? Yes, 100%. Universally loved, right? Oh, God, that's difficult. I would say, gut reaction, I would say A, along with Malcolm Reynolds, because he's as good a character with as good acting, and of course given 10 times many seasons. I say he's B if you want, because you don't love Stargate as much. But I think in terms of character, nuance, performance, he's a very, very solid A.
I would give him an S myself, personally.
Goodness. See, I'm trying to be unbiased here. You're throwing me under the. So
I'm gonna just put him in S.
Okay.
Because...
Hey, do it. Yeah, sure. I'll take the win. Yeah, he's a very nice guy as well.
Yes.
And he has the most giant smile. He has to smile like 7 times in SG-1, and they're like the biggest smiles ever. His whole face lights up, and he's also the known prankster of the group. He told us once of a story where he put cling film on I think it was on Shanks's toilet.
Yeah.
And then Shanks did the biggest shit, and then his room was destroyed, and then he ran out yelling "Judge," and then he just laughed and ran, and it was a whole thing. He's a child.
Topped off by a shit story, even after he got an S tier. That's great.
I mean, if you're a gaming fan, Kratos, I know everyone loves Kratos. Like,
yes.
Like genre defining, he won awards for Kratos. So,
yeah.
Super.
Super. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Anyway, Matthew DeFreitas, $5. Agent K, Tommy Lee Jones from Men in Black.
Interesting. Now, you're an adult when you watch this. I'm interested to hear your thoughts of him.
I thought in the first movie he was great. In the subsequent movies, he kind of falls apart a little bit for me. This is the nature of sequels sometimes. But yeah, he's the old hand, the guy you walk into a place of business and he's like, he knows everybody, he knows everything. He's forgotten more than you'll ever know. And he's somebody to look up to, but he's also gruff and he's kind of like an asshole, kind of like I can be sometimes. He's to the point. You know, Will Smith is like, don't call me kid, don't call me, whatever. And he's like, all right, kid. I love it. I love his character. I think Tommy Lee Jones is maybe not a great person in real life. He's kind of hard to work with, but I always love his characters. He's that grumpy old man, but he's still tough. And yeah, I think Agent K is great. Again, we don't know much about him at first. We do learn more eventually, and I don't know if that's for the better or not. Like, you humanized him, and you didn't necessarily have to do that, in my opinion. So, he's a good mentor. There you go.
Doesn't even want to be a mentor, though. I feel like a mentor might be a little bit of a stretch in a good way. Like, he's just like, oh, you fucking, why are you such a shitty yeah. He's a funny one because he's an archetypal character, right? He is this box. Now, it's the acting that brings that to life, but he's a box. And once you brought him out of the box, like I say in number 2, he's like, it's a weird film, right? It's not a good film, but so he's weird in that film. He's great in 3 for his 2 scenes, and the young him is excellent. But that's character, whatever. That's fine. In the first one, he's great, but again, he's an intentionally one-dimensional archetype, but he's beautiful at it. But I look at him, I don't think he does as much with the suit and glasses as Mr. Smith. but he's a character he does more with less. Hugo did more with more. I'll say B for this guy because I like him a lot, but I don't feel passionate about him in the same way. So I'll say a pleasant B, but I wouldn't even say strong B. I also can't hear you.
I just said I would 100% agree with you on that one.
Nice. I'm betting many people disagree with me there, but yeah, that's why I'd go with that.
I totally. I'm picking up what you're putting down, sir.
Because you can be great but not excel, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think if there's only one film, if there's only one film, he'd be higher potentially.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan Ben.
And this is fun, guys. By the way, thanks for playing along because this is a really interesting debate to work out what we think about everybody. Yeah. As I intended.
Commander
Ivanova.
It's Babylon 5.
Captain Ivanova.
You're gonna have to speak on this one because I think she's a good, strong character. I just haven't watched enough Babylon 5 to really speak to it.
Yeah, she's a funny old one because she really bold lady, as in real life person, very strong-willed. The very classic hard ass, but with an enormous range, as in when they let her do anything else, she can do it. Very passionate about the role as an actress. Some very memorable scenes. The most sort of dependable number one you could ask for, who'd also trust as captain. And that's all I have to say, I guess. Like she's so strong, but as again the role, she's exactly what she needs to be. And there's some great scenes. I think there's a scene in season 1, I believe, when she's saying goodbye to her dying dad, and it's really great. But that's kind of the end of the sentence, right?
Yeah.
She's not the best of the show. I like other characters better. I mean, Jakar and Londo are significantly better, but they're written to be significantly cooler. Oh god, it's annoying because she's sort of a better Starbuck, but also less memorable. Oh god, I would say a low B, high C because she's better than, she's way more nuanced than either the people in C, but I don't think she's great as the people in B.
Interesting.
Because just nuance and character and development and.
I was thinking B based on what I know of her, but
she's close to Starbuck, but on the lawful good side of it.
Yeah.
Let's go low B. I think that's fair. Difficult because she doesn't blend in at all. But yeah, I had a hard time expressing all my thoughts.
Yeah.
Difficult. Yeah. Difficult. Hey, interesting though. I like being presented with that.
Okay, well there you go. See, you guys come up with some good ones. Let's see. Ray Ricks, £5. If we have 6, we also need to discuss Gaius Baltar. That's not Gaius Baltar. What the fuck? Where is he? He didn't put them in the right order. There he is. All right. Never liked this character. Portrayal's super well done. Not quite sure where he's coming from. Is he a traitor? What's going on? And his character does some very interesting and odd things during the course of the run of the show. Even being president at one point. I mean,
the shittiest president known to humankind.
and then he becomes like I don't know what he becomes after that. But anyway, no, the performance is friggin' great. Like you're not supposed to know what he's thinking or what he's up to, and I think that's portrayed very well. I just don't like the character. Again, a huge departure from the original Baltar, from the original series, but I mean that's good in this sense. Yeah, him and Six together are fantastic to watch. Yeah, that's all. That's what I got to say about that for right now.
Yeah, met the guy. I love all his interviews. He's the guy that when I brought prints for Battlestar Galactica, he knew the company that did them because he was interested. Yeah, English. He was well known in England for a character part in other films, so it was really weird seeing this. I mean, he is the standout performance of the show in terms of nuance because he plays every spectrum of character. you know, lawful good, lawful bad, true villain, true good, bastard, hero, lover, fighter, coward, suicidal. Like, the range is astounding. You don't, like you said, don't like a lot of it, but it gives every single part of that ride an A-star, performance-wise.
Yeah.
Going from the first time you see him, he's this genuinely brilliant, womanizing genius that accidentally sells his entire civilization to the baddies for sex. Oops. He genocide. Well, he didn't, but he I mean, what a way to start. And then he sees angels and doesn't. And yeah, I mean, I think performance, this should be an S because it's such a layered, interesting, diverse performance. It blows everybody below S out the water performance-wise. That's why I'm going to say S. Because I think performance-wise, he should be up there.
Perfect.
I would love to hang out with this guy. That'd be such a fun. I think he's a sci-fi fan as well. Just to hang out with him on a personal level. Oh, that'd be fun.
He's Picard's daddy.
Yeah. Guys, Picard, yeah.
All right. Who is next? Let's see. We've got Gastro 1980, $5. Judge Dredd OG version as Sylvester Stallone. I am the law.
I am the law. That was pretty good, actually. That was not bad.
Pretty good depiction of Dredd visually. I think Carl Urban. Is it Carl Urban or Keith Urban? I can't remember. I always get those two mixed up. He did a much better job as the actual character. Sylvester Stallone wanted people to see his face, took his helmet off, kind of out of character. So it doesn't stay true to the source material character-wise, although visually I think it looks fantastic. It's a comic book brought to life. Yeah, it's just Sylvester Stallone being Sylvester Stallone, and so yeah, the character Judge Dredd is great, but in that movie it's not represented super well, and it's just an action movie. It's just another Stallone action vehicle. Is what it is.
But he is the law.
He is the law. That's what I've heard. He screamed it once.
So I have a gentle soft spot for this movie. I think it's fun, dumb.
I love the movie. Don't get me wrong. But if you talk to a Judge Dredd fan, taking off the helmet is a no-no.
Yeah, this is what Star Trek 09 is to us. I think it just gets it just wrong, fundamentally wrong.
Yeah.
But if you don't know what it should be, it's fun, campy, dumb. Like I think he puts everything into it. The robot, is there a robot at the end or something?
Yeah, there is. Demolition Man's better though.
Oh, yeah, much better.
Same kind of thing, but way better.
Well, that's a more interesting character in terms of how they wrote that character. The real Dredd show is more interesting. Yeah. It's like I wouldn't necessarily say Carl Urban is interesting as Dredd. He's just compelling. You know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, a good portrayal. I like it. Dumb film, but the fact that he's sort of genuinely disliked from the fandom in that role for that reason, but also
Carl Urban did it better.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, gosh, I don't know. You say first, so I don't get hate.
I'm gonna give him a C.
I was C or D.
It's a great action movie. Sylvester Stallone's fantastic. I love him. But as far as the character goes, if you're talking about the character of Judge Dredd, it's kind of gotta be a C for me.
Because he's not like that performance is not standing the test of time beyond the cuteness of it as a silly thing, you know. So yeah, a gentle C I think is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I do like the gun. I like their lawmaker. Pretty good.
Oh yeah. Lawmaker's fantastic.
I don't mind seeing the guy's face. It's just the stuff he did with the helmet off.
Yeah. Well, it's just fundamentally not what the character would do, though. So.
But does he have to pee and shower? I mean.
Well, yes, but he doesn't. It's like the Mandalorian. He doesn't let people see him without his helmet.
Yeah, but he's a man. I mean,
he is a man.
So I assume his helmet.
I'm just telling you what the fucking comic book is like. You don't have to argue with me.
No, I'm just wondering. Like, I'm sure he takes it off when he's not on duty, or is he like wears it to bed? That's what I mean. Like that's where it could be interesting if you saw.
One of those things that don't have an answer.
Yeah, I just mean it's interesting if he always has it on the job, and then you could see him do scenes with him off duty with it off, be a different character. Like that would be interesting, not knowing obviously the character that well.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, C's fair I think for that one.
Yeah.
If you disagree,
Yeah.
super chat in with $5 to move him.
If you hate him, I should rewatch that movie. I remember liking it. Is it on
John
4K?
O'Sullivan,
I wonder.
€5. Suketh, the Master, the Doctor, Toymaker, all S tier.
So I just picked one of those, the most famous. The Master. What do you think about the Master, Stuart?
I recognize him from something else. That's all I can say.
Okay.
With a name like the Master, he can't be bad. He's got to be pretty awesome.
So I picked Anthony Ainley because he is the Master the most. I do not like most of the modern Masters because they don't get what the character is. And this guy played him way more than Delgado, although he's the definitive in terms of the originator. This guy had more lines though. Yeah, the Master is an extremely nuanced performance while still being pretty one-dimensionally bad. The fact is he's one of the few people that likes being bad, is choosing to be bad, and has fun being bad. Everything he does is super intentional. And he can actively like stabbing you in the chest, laugh at it, and then choose to heal you so you can do it again. And you like watching it. He's just fun about it, right? Because he has such genius that everyone is a ant under his foot, but also you like ants sometimes. Now obviously every master is super different. Well, him and Delgado are similar-ish, but they're all quite different. I think as the character, which again is very broad, I would say very high B, with some episodes of A. But there's a lot of not so good, because he can be the cartoon villain to fight against, but he also can be just super compelling. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to talk about the Crazy Master because that was dumb. Dumb.
Okay, B it is.
Yeah.
Next up is Fearless Wolf, £5. So, The Expanse.
Never seen it, all you.
If you had asked me the first time after watching The Expanse what I thought of her character, I would have said I absolutely despise her. I don't like her. But on the second rewatch of The Expanse, she is by far one of my standout favorite characters from The Expanse. She totally won me over in this role. Very layered. She's a politician and she's conniving. And then she learns that not everything's as black and white as she thinks it is. And as a result, she definitely has a very awesome arc for the character. It kind of comes around full circle to still being in power, but kind of more behind the scenes. And she loses out on getting the one election. And there's a lot to her, and she learns from all of it. So her character growth is fantastic. And as an actress, I'm not a big fan of her voice, but again, that grows on you after a while, and she's actually quite awesome in the role. So I'm going to have to give her an A for this one. I don't think she's quite iconic enough necessarily to get an S tier.
But it's like we said earlier, like, is this character going to live on, like, the Terminator? I don't think so.
Exactly.
She's a lady in a show, as is Boltar in a show. And
she's a fantastic villain / hero. She's a lot of things in that show. And I think just for the range that she shows in that, I think A is fantastic. And she maintains her bitchy aggressiveness the whole time. And at first, she's very dislikable and this kind of you want to hate her, but at the end, you love her, and you love when she gets gruff like that because it's to the right people. So
interesting. And Shaw says the Master was driven mad by the rhythm of fourth with untempered. He wasn't, though, because that was when he was a child, and yet his entire life up and all of the Doctor Who until the new one, he was always fine and never mad. So you can't just say they went back and changed the timeline, made him always mad. He was never mad, never had that until he had it. So no, it's dumb retcon that doesn't work because he would affect all of his timeline, and obviously never had that. So no. Now if he'd done it from then on, fine, but he didn't. Doesn't make sense. It's a broken concept.
Classic for real, $5. The two best officers and ship designers in Trek, Commander Samuel Calkins and Captain Stuart Foley. If not, just glad to contribute. Well, I was going to say no, but Sam provided a picture for us.
Was it? Sorry, I was doing this one. Oh, yes.
So, and we're not really sci-fi characters, so F tier.
Well, we almost appeared in our AI story, and then people made us go off wonky straight away. So we never got to play.
I know.
Very good fun. Yeah, I mean they're both fiction. They're both non-fiction, and not sci-fi. So yes, by definition, F.
Yes.
Now you have two. You have Foley and Eric. You actually have two sci-fi characters. Just saying.
Eric's.
Damon Eric, and I have 5 Davises, but it's the same guy, just older. So.
Yeah, we're gonna put us at F tier because we don't really fit in the sci-fi character category.
Unless you want a super chat to raise us up with 5, that's up to you then. I guess that's hell of a pitch, but if you want to, I mean, we won't say no. And yes, you can put us lower than. I don't know.
Ray Ricks, £5. Jack O'Neill, SG1. Now it's funny because when you first mentioned this idea, I thought, where am I going to put Jack O'Neill? Because I'm sure he's going to come up. And I love the portrayal of this character. I love this character to no end, up to a point. And then he says, fuck this show, I'm out of here. And he becomes like a general and shows up occasionally and feels like he's phoning it in. Like, the character I can relate to a lot because he's got that sarcastic, smart-ass comment for every situation. Kind of like me in a lot of situations. So I love the character. I think, what the hell's his name?
Richard Anderson.
Richard Dean Anderson does a fantastic job. But I think at the end, the character just kind of weakens a little bit for me. And not just because of lack of screen time, but when he is on screen, he's kind of lost the love for the character and being there, I think, which is a shame. I could be misreading the situation. That's kind of the vibe that I get. But up to a certain point, absolutely S tier. I don't know if the last couple seasons for me drag him down a bit, but I think he's a very iconic character and definitely made that show very relatable to a lot of people. So, you know, he definitely deserves a high tier. But
which is funny you say that. Relatable to most people, but he's also an unbelievable colonel in that he's so dumb, playing so dumb that he's like he can't have got to that high rank and be in charge of this team being that dumb. It's an act.
He's not as dumb as he's portrayed.
But he's also not as smart as he could be and probably should be. Like he generally doesn't know a lot of things. So he's an odd choice if you actually break down. Like the first season makes sense, he's military, but as the sci-fi comes in, he's so out of his depth it's kind of silly. But he's so lovable, we move on, etc. Yeah, and it's interesting because you say he's bad in sort of 8 and season 8.
He's bad. He's just not as good as he was.
I mean, he's not. But it's also because at that point he's now outgrown the characterization. Like he was a colonel of a team. He was never written to be a general of a base that's bored the whole time. Like that's not what the character does. That's why he leaves the job as in the universe because like he's not good at that, right? Which makes sense. But he's never particularly good
becoming an admiral, not a good admiral.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And he's never particularly good as that as an admiral, whatever his rank is. He's just sort of there to be the commanding. Yeah, I mean, what's funny though is that he's a as good a performance as any of the main 4, but he's a much less interesting character than the other 4. Carter does way more interesting things. Daniel does a lot more interesting things. Tilk has a better arc. So he's the most boring of the 4, but he's like Kirk. He's a goddamn incredible performance at that more simple version and the nuance.
Yeah.
So I'm not giving him S because he's not as interesting as other characters. But I'll certainly give him an A, similar to Mal. But I would say now that makes Mal worse because he's a step above Mal, a long step. But Boltar and everyone in S has a much more nuanced performance. If there was a I guess an award for most the same performance over time and always nailing it, he'd be right there. But there's not enough of an arc or challenge or
No, I agree with everything,
okay.
And I'm glad because this is one that mysteriously popped in my mind, and literally for like 20 minutes while I was doing stuff around the house, I'm thinking, how am I going to make this argument that he doesn't deserve S tier? So,
well, there you go. You're welcome.
Yeah,
but he is better than Mal, which, like I said, that him alone in A changes what A is to me now, which is why it's super interesting as a contrast.
Yeah, him and Mal are a lot alike in ways, and I'm sure Mal might have turned into what he was.
Yeah,
but just didn't get the enough screen time and opportunity to do so. So
yeah, but then you could argue that Mal does a lot more in one season than Jack does. But that's a weird argument by itself, right? Because it's different writers and different character.
Yeah.
you.
Gosh, only $5. If Lord of the Rings is sci-fi, then Police Chief Martin Brody in Jaws. Otherwise, same actor in Sequest season 1 2. Yes, Roy Scheider, fantastic actor. You could even use his role from Blue Thunder here because that's technically sci-fi as well. Anyway, don't have much to say about this. I haven't watched Jaws in a long time. He was a good authoritarian figure. I always loved all of his roles. I think he does a fantastic job in all of them. I don't know how I would rank him as a character, though. Just based on being a sheriff and not wanting people to go into water and then does stupid things like go in the water, it's not going to be high for me.
I mean, I'm going F because he's not a sci-fi character. Jaws is not a sci-fi in any realm.
There you go. You're not making the small pictures, so I gotta.
I am. I was.
Where are they?
Well, I didn't for him because I was trying to talk. We caught up.
Perfect. I'll do it. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I can do things too.
It's funny. Jaws has been on my 4K Christmas list for like 4 years, but no one's bought it for me. So I want to watch it in proper 4K for the first. Like, I've seen clips, of course, but I've never watched it, sat down and watched it, and I really would like to, but in its proper medium.
It's funny because I've been thinking I need to rewatch Jaws for like a couple months now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also wouldn't say Lord of the Rings is sci-fi, but other people would. So, because there's
well, it's fantasy,
which is not sci-fi.
Fantasy and sci-fi get clumped together.
They get clumped together. Yeah. But we gave that because it's an iconic character, right? I mean.
Yeah. All right, classic for real, $5. We've done Teal'c. We've done O'Neill. I forgot how many L's. It's 2 L's in this O'Neill. We might as well do Carter then.
That's a bold choice of words.
I guess. Oh,
do you get my joke, Stuart? Do you get my...
no, I did not.
Oh,
more concerned that there's not a picture of Carter here.
Because we caught up.
Okay. Oh, my bad. Sorry. Well,
that's why it's meant to be our ones in between.
39 of you here. Hit like. I want to get to 50 likes. Ignore everything the man behind the curtain is saying.
At least.
But yes, and go vote in the poll if you haven't done so. Let's see how many votes we have. We have 63 votes currently.
We'll get to 70 and do another one.
If we can get another 7 votes in the poll, would be awesome.
I guess I'll jump on this one because you did the O'Neill. Carter, yeah, lovely lady, really, really salt of the earth, gentle. Which was not the character, but that all comes through. Kind of a hard role in the sense of having to combine an actually feminine persona because they don't want to shy away from that, and a genius scientist, and also a hardened military veteran, and she does all of them very well, often at the same time.
Yeah.
You believe all three, and there's so many characters that are like either one note because they can't do something else. It's like Mal from Firefly. You wouldn't buy Nathan Fillion as a scientist. He just wouldn't, you know what I mean? But she does all those 3 things very well. She's great at technobabble. She's great at personal stuff and action stuff. Decent in hand-to-hand fighting. Very well-rounded. Good arc, although it's a bit of an arc that sort of like does this. Teal'c is kind of more like you see it.
Meander.
Yeah, exactly. Going with Pete for a bit, which is weird but nice, then not, and then Jack, and then not, and then nice, and then... But, she's absolutely a cornerstone of that show. I like watching her more than Teal'c because I like the sci-fi-ness more. And obviously she brings technobabble and the science stuff. And she speaks fast. I like speaking fast scientists. Clearly, I speak fast. But I think... I'll let you speak now.
Everything you just said. She is one of the standouts of the team, obviously. I kind of... she's way more interesting in certain aspects than Jack O'Neill. Jack O'Neill is just the everyman, right? She pulls off being the every lady, but also everything else on top of it. Scientist, military. And I think the performance was fantastically done. Again, fantastic actress. A lot of depth to the character. Learn a lot about her, but you are right. There is a lot of meandering storytelling, kind of figuring out what they want to do with her on a personal level, I guess. But it corrects itself very well. All those things, I think, end up working out fine. I think for me, she's probably S tier as far as a sci-fi character goes.
Yeah, I'm right on the middle again. I don't know if she's quite earns S because she's not quite Tilk in terms of the arc. But if you think female scientist character, she would be up there because she balances it all so well. But certainly if you're comparing to Terminator and Doc Brown, I want to go A. Something about it says don't quite S for that.
Okay, I can go with an A.
Yeah.
I will capitulate and say that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, great. And like I say, Amanda's lovely. She's one of the most like well-loved Stargate convention people because she will always give you time. I mean, lots of them will, but she's like really well known. She ran a like cancer charity for 15 years during the con circuit and would do events promoting that. I believe I'm getting that right. That's just like her thing.
Did we have her on screen? I don't know if we did. I thought I moved her, but I guess not.
Oh.
Samantha Carter, everybody.
Too busy talking.
Right? I was focusing on something else at the time, so. Samantha Carter, everybody.
Which is great.
We just had our
classic Sam with short hair.
Yeah. Okay. Gastro, $1985. Mr. T. All right, F tier because it's not sci-fi.
Disagree.
Yeah, it's action adventure, but
no, I just mean like he's actually iconic.
Oh, absolutely.
I think you've got to. I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna make him at least a D. Just for that.
Okay, that's fair. Gold chains, a pit of the fool.
Because
quotables.
Yeah, because even not being sci-fi, you can't put him at the worst because he's just too good. Now, my question to you though is, was he a character made for the show, or was he a guy who had a persona of Mr. T and they hired him to play himself in the show? Because he has the same look after.
Both, yeah. He's B.A. Baracus in the show, but yeah, he's just Mr. T, essentially. It's just an iconic look that he grew up doing that, so he's just himself. Same within Rocky 2, whatever the one he's in, as Clubber Lang.
So he
just plays himself, essentially.
So he's not really an actor, he's just a joke character. But like a serious joke, but like... It's a joke.
How can there be a serious joke? He's not a joke. He's just...
He's Mr. T.I.P. the Fool. Of course it's a joke. What do you mean?
He's like...
Of course it's a joke.
He's like Ryan Reynolds. He just plays himself in every goddamn thing.
Well, yeah, but if you make the look beforehand and you get hired for the look, you be hired for him. Ryan now is that, yes, but so it's such an odd thing because then he kept the look for years. Like you still want to see this guy in the wild looking like that. It was like, but he was a character. I was like, no, he wasn't. That was him. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Hold on 1 second. I just got to do something quick.
Okay, and I'm adding more people. You guys are doing great. We've got another half an hour in the lineup. Yeah, it's been really fun. We are learning lots about what we think, and clearly lots of space left. We've discussed making. Welcome back. We've discussed making this a part 1 and part 2. Turns out headshots you can fit a lot in, so we can keep the same ranking up and bring more people in on a part 2 and just carry on from where we left off.
Exactly. Yes. This has been a great discussion all around.
Yeah, really interesting. I feel like I'm learning a lot.
So classic for real, $5. Reginald Barkley, but before he was assigned to the Enterprise D, back when he was still a pilot, also known as a fugitive from the Army. Yes, Matt Murdock from the A-Team. He's an F tier because he's not a sci-fi character. While being memorable for being Mad Murdock, it's not really that memorable, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's not living past the role that versus Barkley in the same way, right?
So out of here, Dwight Schultz. You did great, but stop putting great people in F tier because they're not sci-fi guys, and it's not us doing it; it's you doing it. You saw the title of the
let them do what they want, but yeah, you do it to yourselves.
And if you really disagree and want them moved up, you can absolutely do that.
Well, in fairness, for Team Trekyards, as bad as they are, to be in the same ranking as these icons, I'm not against it.
We're icons in our own way in our small little corner of the internet, so.
Yep. Right, do you want to throw in one of our other ones that we picked in, just so I can catch up as well?
Sure,
There's
boss.
a theme to the next few, so we've got some nice variety ones, some variety pack in here.
Sarah Connor.
Sarah Connor.
Okay, Linda Hamilton.
Ooh, a sigh.
No, it's fine. She was in Every Woman. She was a waitress. She was on a hit list apparently, or something she hasn't done yet, and as a result, becomes kind of a badass. Again, that's a very layered character going through movie 1 and movie 2. Fantastic. Beyond that is where the problems occur with this franchise in particular, because there's so much retconning and changing of things just because of the storylines they have to tell. There's like multiple different timelines essentially for the Terminator franchise. I think she pulls off a badass kind of like Ellen Ripley very well, and I love her acting in number 2 where she's like in the insane asylum
Broken.
and is trying to play nice, and then that doesn't work, so she's kind of has to get yelly and screamy and tell them that what's going to happen, them not believe her to see Arnie walking down the hall and that look of fear on her face, like, oh shit, right now, and then the realization that no, he's actually there to save you, come with me if you want to live, you know. I think she's a fantastic actress, but I don't remember her from anything else. Like, she's great in this role where she plays.
But yeah, talking about the character, not the actress, right?
Well, exactly, yeah.
I mean, what else have you seen Mr. T in?
Rocky 2, just mentioned that, but okay.
I'm saying, what else? Like, because Lynn was in like several Terminator films.
Is that his filmography isn't that big, so
yeah, that's fine.
Anyway, yes, and she's got a twin sister. Cool. At least the actress does. I don't know. I think the character is great up to a certain point, and then it gets all convoluted and bullshitty. And they try to come back to it with the last appearance of her, but again, just a little too hardcore, hard-edged for me at that point. Just this grizzled old grumpy lady. It's fine, I guess, but it's funny how the one thing can change the trajectory of her life so much, because she was just every person working as a waitress, and becomes this military badass that knows everything about every weapon. And I don't know. I think the character is great, but I'm not quite sure where I want to place her. How about you?
Yeah, just like with Kay, she's an archetypal, right? Very nuanced, good performance in that box she's in. Now that said, she had 2 different goes at the goes. But like I said, Terminator 1, she's an entirely different character, and the radical performance difference in 1 and 2 shows what an actress she is, and the fact she could exhibit inhabit the role. Because I mean, this is her getting built, right? Where it was about being lean and quick versus the bulking up of a whatever. So this was very thin for the time. It's like, I'm like, wow, you're ready for this, right? But yeah, she sells both roles perfectly. And I think you compared to Sigourney Ripley a second ago. This woman will murder you happily if she'll save the world. Ripley will not. So the badass level is certainly different. You know, I mean, she literally walked into a guy's house trying to, well, she did as well, but she was trying to snipe her, like, blow it up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, definitive performance obviously links in with Arnie, so that you have that always tied together. You know, I'm not even going to include the other personas of her, although I think some have good bits. Of course, that's really broad field. She's the definitive for all the reasons. There's an intensity that she has that the one from the TV series, and certainly not Emilia Clarke had in the other movie. There's no, it's like a controlled deadness behind the eyes. I would give this woman, this character, a gentle B.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, cool.
I know why I can see why you're saying it too. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that I mean, obviously we had Saruman, who's bigger performance, but she had 2 unique films with radically different performances. So that by itself says she did so much in that spectrum. I mean, come on, you saw her, dance with headphones on and whatever. That was a roommate. Anyway.
All right.
Yes.
Let's get back to the.
Yeah.
Don't know what's happening here with these pictures, or the big ones of these guys.
Should all be there.
They're all like buried. You gotta like stack them.
Yes.
So that's not who I'm looking for either. God damn it.
So you guys have been so helpful. So many people.
So if you could stat those while I'm talking. That'd be cool because I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Next up is Ray Ricks, 10 pounds. Let's finish SG1. Daniel Jackson and Cam Mitchell. We'll talk about Daniel Jackson first.
It's awesome to include them both. Thank you. Michael
Shanks is, well, Sylvia loves Michael Shanks is what I'll say. He's great. I love that he takes the character from the movie and has that persona for the first little while, and then he very much makes it his own. And I think it for the better to evolve into the Daniel Jackson we got, especially the haircut. Like, please, for love of God, cut your goddamn hair. But
ouch.
Oh yeah, it's a better look. Sorry. Very focused and driven character, very science oriented, yet also goes through quite a transformation, dies and all that stuff.
Several times.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, it's a fantastic character. Go, you talk now, because I love Daniel Jackson. I think he's a great SG1 character.
Oh, Matthew DeFreitas just jumps in. Isn't it crazy how we put viewer's choice, no less choose Star Trek characters? I think kind of implied this is non-Star Trek. I certainly implied that with sci-fi being non. But I mean, hey, I guess you could, but that is true.
Well, then just start getting Star Trek, and just fill it.
But I think
we want the variety for this one.
Interesting point. Yeah, no, I mean, Daniel again, Michael Shanks, great speaker, met him a few times. He's remarkable depth of character journey, such that he wasn't going far enough that he asked to leave, and then once he came back, which was entirely, he sort of missed the show, missed the people, came back for all the many reasons. They then thought, right, we lost him once, we're going to make this character really even more important and keep giving him the good stuff. So he had just a roller coaster of interesting stuff. To the point of in season 9 and 10, he is not the lead character, but he is getting a lot of the storylines. Now, it helps that through gentle evolution, he becomes the expert on the main villains, the secondary main villains, all the technology that is alien, reading all the tech, translating all the stuff. Like, his skill set is so broad that and fighting, he can also shoot and pew and fly a Teltag. Yeah, he's so well skilled, but it's the most organic 10-year journey of a man that had to grow to get there. That you don't not believe that in season 9, he could take on the weight of the world, or season 10, take on the weight of the world, be Merlin, do all this magic stuff. Like, yeah, of course he can. And that's an amazing journey, right? For an actor that in the movie was an archaeologist.
Whose work is discredited in the mainstream, which is hilarious.
And amazing, but I'm I'm gonna give S to this guy. Because I think the fact that he the fact that he takes the movie, does the same performance, give or take, is also a skill, nuances it so well, and he has so many good arcs with so many good moments and so much good dialogue and so much. Yeah, I think the level of his performance, while maybe not as high key as Baltar, all the radical stuff he deals with, so much of this man's performance is so compelling to watch that for me, I'm going to go S for it.
I agree. There's a lot of storytelling that goes on with him in SG1, and he does it well.
And dying 3 times and still being compelling. And in fairness, in season 6, when he comes back, he's a different persona. He does a good job. Yeah. Yeah.
What about Cam Mitchell? O'Neill 2.0.
Yeah. I love the fact that if you watch Farscape and this back-to-back, they're not the same man. That's it. Same with Mavala and Aaron. They're good actors. They you see hints of each other, of course, but they're not the same people. I love this guy is a meta reference. He's a fan of the team because he's a military guy that's brought in to be a pilot, does a mission in Antarctica, gets hurt, and then I'm simplifying, of course. He wants to get the famous team back together because he's a fan of them from reading the missions while he was in hospital and like learning about them. So he has Red all Squad. This. Oh, sorry.
I want to join Red Squad.
Yeah. So he wants them to be his friends, but it's charming still because he's also still a very qualified person who obviously rose really high. Like I think the line was he could choose any assignment at any team, so he picked the top assignment of the top team that was disbanded. His job to get. It's a very good arc for we're resetting the series, and a wonderful actor to bring in. He's not boring, even though he's plain. He's characterful while not being a clone, and he has a lot of unique charms which are not overbearing. He's definitely a Jack 2.0 while being also a Atlantis guy 2.0 or being a Mal 2.0. Like, he's a very uniquely the same again. So I commend him for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Initially I saw him as a Jack 2.0, just a replacement for O'Neill, and which is absolutely what it was. And he kind of played it the same, kind of that smart enough guy to be there, but dumb enough to not really understand what everybody's saying. He's the analog for the audience.
He's smarter, though, I'd say.
He is, yes. Yeah, absolutely. But he's definitely the analog for the audience. Like, what did you just say? Explain that to me.
Sure.
But I think he does it in a little bit more charming way than O'Neill. O'Neill comes across as more of a gruff asshole. He's just self-absorbed.
Well, he's also older. Jack came from the generation before, so he had to deal with wars. Cam did not in the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, he's, like I said, he's more charming, he's more personable, he's more like, I want you to like me kind of guy.
Let's be friends.
O'Neill could give a shit whether you like him or not.
O'Neill's son committed suicide the day before the movie, so he came in with some pretty... I just remember that. Like, yeah, he had some trauma.
Well, that was O'Neill with one L, though. That's a different O'Neill.
Except the one episode of Stargate Atlantis SG-1 where you see the same scenes again.
I know.
Yes. I like Cam a lot. I think, considering what he had to do... very good performance, considering. My gut would say a very strong B.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking B as well.
With a caveat that you guys could easily put me into an A, but more for his achievement in the role versus what he... Yeah,
no, I was thinking B as well, just because he didn't have a lot of time to shine either, really.
But he did in the time he had. At least the second half. Because season 10, I think they're firing all cylinders. I think 10 is pretty great.
I think it was a matter of trying to win over the audience to accept him.
And also, since you spend the first half of season 9, him literally building the team back, so you're wondering, is this show the same show anymore? And then it is in season 10. So, great, he fits perfectly and it works really well. And there's this lovely friendship with Carter, because they haven't got the sexual chemistry or the tension that the other two had. So, of course, he's able to be a friend and, like, charming and, like... there's a fun back. And he's a great double act with Daniel. Because they're very much more equals. Jack is not. Jack is his dad, his older brother. So, good vibes.
All right, Kyle Wong, 10 pounds. Fox Mulder, Dana Scully.
Oh, God. It's like a smarmy little bastard shot. Love it. Oh, God.
All right, we'll do these guys separately.
It's just a good picture, so.
Okay, let's go with Fox Mulder first.
How much of this show have you seen?
All of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What kind of question is that? I grew up with this show. David Duchovny does a fantastic job with this one, and he's the I want to believe in aliens guy and trying to prove every goddamn conspiracy theory. And I love how the character does get to a point where it's like, I've seen what I've seen, I know what I know. Proving it is kind of irrelevant at this point because the government's basically like squashing everything. I think the character goes through some interesting covers some interesting ground, let's put it that way. I'm not 100% happy with how the character ended up necessarily, but I think the enthusiasm of the character and getting into the position that he was in and his it's kind of trouble with finding words for this one. His ambition to do something from the position he's in, knowing he has to fight every step of the way, but never kind of giving up until he does give up. I think he's a great character. He's very, very. I don't know how to end that. He's a great character, and it goes through an incredible arc during the course of the whole thing, to the point where he's just kind of like that guy that people know about. He's like a legend. You're the aliens guy, right? Yeah, he's at that point where he just doesn't care because he knows the truth himself,
Oh, by
but yet he doesn't, because the government, it always comes around to, was that real? It's one of, I don't know. I think he's great. I love the character is what I'm saying.
So my experience is that this show we didn't have access to in my house. No VHS, no DVD, no anything. And then I grew up, I never went back to watch it because there's new TV. I do think, Stargate SG-1, Battlestar, at the time, this is not going to be a fair competitor to those excellent shows in the 2000s where I, in theory, could have asked them on DVD. I'm sure it feels very 90s, etc. I watched one episode for my university course, and it specifically was an episode where there was aliens to show how they approached that. Because I don't know the show really, but most of it was not aliens. But that was actually aliens. So it was that interesting dichotomy. And I was quite disappointed by it because I thought that the lady was terrible. She just was this bimbo-y, didn't say anything, always react. What do you think, Scolder? Whatever. It's like, what's the point of her character? She was awful, and he was okay. And it just felt so misogynistically weird as a show. One episode, right? That might not example the whole thing, but it was a really bad episode for that. So I have no respect for that episode. And then that's all I'm going to say because I don't know the characters, right? So I'll leave everything to you at this point because I would say she's a worse character than him by a lot. That's all I'm going to judge.
I'm going to talk about Scully now.
There you go. Sorry, I
she came in as the skeptic, trying to. They basically hired her to disprove everything that he did and kept him kind of under their thumb. And she came to grow to be a believer because she's seen all these incredible things with him. And a lot of the alien stuff was just genetic modifications and stuff made by the government. So you're never really clear if there are aliens or not, even though sometimes it seems quite obviously reasonable that there are aliens. It always kind of gets squashed down by it's just the government doing things, either genetically modifying or whatever. So no, she's great. She definitely, the character gets way better in later seasons. When she first starts out, she's a little bit green, and that's kind of the point, right? Like, I don't know if it was actually Gillian Anderson growing as an actress during the course of it, or if it was kind of written that way to, I think it was a bit of both, honestly, because she was pretty young when she came in. So as for ranking them, I'm going to move this picture. And let's see, let's put Fox Mulder as, I would say, an A. And Scully, I'd have to put Scully at an A as well. Although the X-Files is quite iconic and will be remembered for a long time, and yet not, because people don't really talk about it anymore.
I was about to say, it's not aging. It's like Farscape, right? It was amazing, but it's not living past its time. I think X-Files is being pretty quickly forgotten.
And it is a product of its time, too, because you can go back and watch it. You're like, if they had a fucking cell phone with a camera, it would be over so quickly.
Yeah.
But later they do get cell phones, and there's always an issue for why they can't. It's fine.
They actually get cell phones. They're that ahead of time, are they? Wow. Yeah.
So, anyway. All right. How many do we have on deck here?
And it is on Blu-ray. I have to add that to my list. So I do want to watch it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Like I said, a very weird microcosm.
I think we should probably start calling an end to these.
Yep. Yeah, a lot. Anyone want to throw in, let's say, 2 more? We'll say closing with 2. We'll get through these other ones.
Okay, keep track of the 2 more then, because we need to kind of wind it down. So.
Oh, actually, we have loads, don't we? Oh, okay. I tell you what. Anything you add now, we'll add to the list, but we'll end at 11. But we'll add them because we've got a list on screen, right? So we'll add that. They'll be there for the next time. So basically, it won't be dealt with today, but there'll be part 2 of this soon because it's been a tremendous success. There's been a lot of fun, a lot of space left. So add them in, and they'll be in the retainer for the next batch.
Yes.
So we do have things to do later today, and I do want to talk about something right at the end as well, as you can imagine. Yeah. Next.
SVS Screw 2000 throws in €10. Rodney McKay from Atlantis. Fellow Canadian. Absolutely.
I mean, there's no question. The arc the guy goes from slight coward dickhead to genius savior of everything. Just
such a great gruff portrayal as well. And the one thing I do hate though is it is never a ZPM ever. I'm Canadian. You say Z, you say Z, depending on
parts though. He could be from a town in northern
I don't care.
Quebec or something.
I don't care. Even if Z is the only thing you say, it's definitely a ZPM.
Okay.
That's real stick in my craw. I hate that shit.
But yeah, he's one of the top 3 characters of all Stargate. Just the arc he goes on.
Oh yeah.
The acting is absolutely perfect. The technobabble is perfect. There's a joke about him on set where they in the first season of Atlantis, normally a page of dialogue is about a minute on screen. He would read his lines so quick that he would underdo his scenes. So they had to then write more to fill in the time because the episodes were getting shorter than the script because he was doing scenes quicker. Yeah. So they'd write more dialogue and he hated it because he's like, damn it, I got to do it. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Hard to express how good. And a lovely man. Really big sci-fi lover, big science lover, big tech lover, really generous, really, really good. And I wish he had more roles. But I mean, hey, as with all niche sci-fi, he was phenomenal in those 5 seasons and other bits.
I just love how far his character came from being in SG-1. It's kind of like occasional, and then became this like really strong character.
Yeah, and what a genius move to bring in
he's the O'Brien. He's the O'Brien because O'Brien in TNG was like scattered here and there, and then in DS9 became like.
But add 100 dick points. Because he was not likable in his as the whole point.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, his last time SG-1, he was sent off to Russia because as a haha, you get the bad job, and then by the end he falls in love with the doctor who's lovely, and it's like lovely, yeah, absolute ass.
Yeah, I would not argue that at all.
He remains a dickhead, but he's our dickhead.
I love how Canadians are supposed to be so nice, yet he's that. It's great.
But he hasn't got a Canadian accent, though, has he? Really?
No.
So
there's no such thing as a Canadian accent.
Oh.
But that's okay. All right. Let's see. Mark Lawrence, $5. Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley in Alien.
Sure, already have on that.
We do somewhere. It's buried somewhere up here. That's what I hate about this stacking shit. Because.
Yeah, I wish there was a default size you could swap it in and out, so you'd have to own 2 badges. Sigourney Weaver, great. She's incredibly the every woman. She's just a trucker. She's a trucker that deals with so much because they're horror films fundamentally, right? So she's a trucker, deals with shit after shit, deals with it in a very believable, interesting way. Wonderful mother vibe that carries over really well. Then becomes a weird prisoner person and just like life or death. Then she becomes a augment sci-fi creep, which is great performance. She's so relatable. She's so normal, and even like she's so unable to use guns that she just puts every gun on one gun. So just I don't know, everything. Like it's so everything that is
Yes, exactly what he just said. An everyday person that gets an incredible circumstance and does a fantastic job at just surviving, and then becomes a badass. And then the sequels kind of let her down in some regards.
Well,
but
different.
Still,
she always does well with it, but it's not good writing normally. My guy's A because she's still a simple character. I think there's a limit to how interesting she is.
There's not a lot of depth to the character. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
She's just a survivalist in an extreme situation.
Great performer, great delivery of the material, but the material is always fight the alien. So a very, very respectable A, which is still great. And in fact, you compare that to Jack or Sam, it's kind of embarrassing in terms of like the amount of dialogue and depth, but she's so good in the role, and she's iconic. She was the classic female action hero before it was a thing. She just did it, and it was perfect. Like that's that and Sarah Connor are those winning female heroines. They don't have to think about it. Like there they are, perfect, great, did the job. Yeah.
All right, next up, classic for real, $5. The original Starbuck. But after he retired from being a Star Viper pilot, when he was with Barclay, also a fugitive from the army. Ah, yeah, Face Man.
That's why I laughed at earlier. I was like,
I know, it's hilarious.
Dick.
He is gonna get a F for not being a sci-fi character.
But we love the support.
Now, if you pull in Starbuck, original Starbuck, he wouldn't be an F. But I don't. Yeah. Anyway.
I do love the fact that if people are being silly enough to get the entire A team into F, that's quite a funny little.
Oh, they didn't. They failed.
Well, they could. No, so they could move it quite happily.
Oh, that's true.
So they could do that, like us and the A team with the F slot. Maybe for part 2, and people are watching like, what the hell is going on here? Although, what an interesting gradient, Stuart. It's almost exactly. Normally we get B's and C's or A's and B's. That's a really interesting slice.
Yeah, it
really
is.
Interesting.
Next up is Gastro 1980, $5. Officer Alex James Murphy, commonly known as RoboCop. He is a robot. He is a cop. He is a RoboCop.
Now this one's difficult, right? Because he's flat, but he's goddamn iconic. He's both the same exact. That's literally the point, right? How do you review that? Okay, question then, straight away. Is he more interesting or less interesting than Terminator?
Same.
Ooh. I was going to say less marginally, because he's in less stuff.
Yes, but the look.
The look.
The look is what I think equals it out.
But Arnie's pecs, though. Oh. My heart says he can't be an S, because there's just not enough of the character. But the look is just... This, I mean, the fact they made a game about this, like, 2 years ago, and it's, like, a really high seller. Like, and I've seen him at conventions before, and it's, like, he's such a picture magnet. Like, this will last, because it's such an... Like, it doesn't look 80s. It looks... It looks itself, right? It's so... This will still
It's
look...
timeless.
Yeah, it will still look cool in 2070. Right? I don't know. I'll let you pick, Stuart, because I think you can argue several ways about this. We're in character, not just look, right?
I know. I'm just thinking of like the game, which I have played. I'm also thinking of the sequels.
Obviously, ignore the TV show and the third one because they're not really. Yeah, I liked number 2 though. What do we think?
I'm gonna put him at A tier, just for now.
Yeah. Hey, Junkman's here.
Hey, Junkman, how's it going?
Right, last couple of minutes, guys. So we'll do one more.
Well, Ray Ricks though throws in £5 to
Perfect.
get Carter up to an S tier, so we'll throw her up there.
Okay. I mean, yeah. Got a lot of Stargates in S.
And I don't think we're gonna have time to reshuffle this today.
No.
Reshuffle it on another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
We kind of want to keep this metric for as we
This
continue
is
on.
the user submitted, yeah. Oh, I reckon what.
All right.
Okay, last one for today, and we'll keep everything is in the buffer for the next time.
Classic for real, $5. Jean-Luc Picard, but during that period when he had School for the Gifted and Gandalf, but during when he hated that School for the Gifted.
We open at 5, so we did go Jean-Luc. Jean-Luc, not Picard. Man, Xavier, that's a hard one to rate.
Yes.
Because it's Patrick Stewart is what makes that character sing in those films, right? I wouldn't say it's necessarily the character that does it. It's Patrick Stewart doing the character. You know? Like, it could be quite a boring character without that in what he was given.
I don't think he's that good of a Charles Xavier, though, when you watch, like, the original X-Men cartoon. That was a much better Charles Xavier, in my opinion.
Was a harder edge one, from what I recall.
Yes. Yeah.
More manipulative and more like...
And the problem is I can't not see Picard every time I see Charles Xavier, unfortunately.
Well, I get more teacher from this Charles Xavier, and the other was more action hero team leader.
Yes, 100%.
So that, and they're different, right? Like, I wouldn't think this guy never went on the field and said, you know, did things. That's not his role, right? He was more nuanced, but therefore, yeah. That's why I mean, it's a hard one to rate, because he's great, but he really is just a disabled guy in a suit that talks well. There's not that much depth, in there is, but there isn't. You know? And he is kind of just being a Picard season 3.
Well, I know where I want to rank him, so...
God. God, contrast, man. Contrast makes this really difficult. I would say my gut is a low B.
Yeah, I was thinking B, 100%.
But a low B. He beats out C, but now, like I said, there's so much variety in B now that again contrast. Because he's not as good as the Master, not as good as Sarah Connor,
Yeah.
not as good as Starbuck. Better than Tommy Lee Jones, yes. Maybe consider more. God, interesting. Love it, love it. All right, well that ends our part 1 of this. We still have more in the buffer, obviously.
Yeah, we'll do part 2 next week sometime, so stay tuned,
Indeed.
guys.
And of course, with the last.
I was going to say, let's end this poll real quick.
Oh yes, please do.
With 75 votes, which is a good number. Overall, do you prefer sci-fi villains or heroes when you think best characters? And villains wins out with 53%.
Wow. Okay.
So, and let's see, how many villains have we got up there? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 villains in S tier.
Right.
Gaius, he's a villain, I guess.
He's antagonist, villain, bastard guy.
Oh, Trekyard, 2 pounds. Mark Shepard, Romo, Lampkin, S. Methinks. Who's that?
I know
Mark
Shepard. Romo Lamp. Oh, he's the guy from BSG, or is he the guy from Firefly? We'll search a minute. But let me just pimp this out for a second. So as you can see on the screen, guys, this has been my secret project for the last 10 months. Prodigy Reckoning, a sort of fan production episodic story. As you can see, Dreadnought is back. He is real mean. And I put the trailer in the chat. Now, this is specifically my rather elaborate push into the Prodigy camp of getting more Prodigy, of showing CBS Paramount and the fan base that people want Prodigy. This is a big story with many layers and many parts and many characters, including
this guy, Captain Foley. We'll be making on-screen appearances.
Yes, in multiple episodes. In a rather fun arc that is down more deep because of another episode. You'll find out. As if we knew the plan and therefore we were able to write in things in other films that add to it. Oh, wow. So that'll be fun. Yeah, so go watch the trailer. It's in the chat. Now, when I say this is important...
Very good trailer. Very good trailer.
And
I'm not just saying that because I feel like I have to. I actually watched it. I was impressed. A lot of times I just say, oh, that was good. But this was fantastic.
And this is very important. I don't often say this is a genuine call to arms that I know that my original film was mentioned in one of the meetings with Netflix, like something about that fans were that interested, right? So we made some level of noise. I need everybody to go on the social medias and share this trailer. And the first episode comes out on July 13th. This needs to be a genuine moment. I compare this to the 1960s letter writing campaign by the Trimbles because they showed the studios that people love Star Trek. And Prodigy is the last current era Trek. The one that can bring everybody back with great writers, great actors, really fantastic. And they have such good ideas for season 3. I've heard a couple of them. But I mean, ideas are ideas, right, until they happen. But still. So please go to the trailer, comment. That helps the algorithm. Like if all 35 of you comment on the trailer right now, that would genuinely make a spike in the algorithm. So please go watch it. Please go comment. I don't often ask for that many go watch my films, but this is so much beyond just watch my film. It's let's make something giant here. So get the trailer some views, share on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, MySpace, Pornhub, wherever you want to share the link. Really, like I said, please consider helping. Obviously, it's free to share. We want to get some views, get noticed, and I'm very proud of it. It's a big trailer. This is my biggest project by an absolute mile, like not even close. You're not expecting how big this trailer is. I think that's fair to say, Stuart.
Yeah, no, I was blown away by it, and yeah, it's very impressive. It's very fun to watch, and it's worth a couple rewatches to see all the cool stuff in it. So
there's a lot of cool stuff in it. And yeah, he's
not just blowing his own horn for once. This is actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's this big ensemble piece, right? It's bigger than the sum of, and it, wait till the end of the trailer, but it reveals who's in it, and we have a star-studded cast with Stuart's name right up there in lights, as it were, and a lot of.
But that's fine.
there you go. Yeah.
Newcomer.
So yeah, really, really proud of it. Starting July 13th, it'll be a fortnightly show. As maddening as that is, so we'll be the only regular release project content after the initial burst of content. That's mad, but true. And yeah, let's get some views for it. And I do want us to do a little breakdown of it at some point to get more interest and views, because of course there's only 35 of you here. But yeah, go watch Prodigy Reckoning, the new fan film, episodic adventure with Dreadnought. He's a real dick, and it's great. So yeah,
There you go.
there we go.
Yeah, and I have to agree with everything you just said. Go watch it, go share it, and please enjoy it. We want to hear your thoughts on it. I'm sure we'll do a live talking about it at some point.
Maybe get Emma and stuff on, because Emma and Alexa are the leads, which is they're both tremendous in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great because it takes place, as you'll see from... Yeah, it's in it, yeah. Guys, funny what we do and don't know. It starts in the Picard era, so it's actually a sequel to Picard Season 3 at the start, which is great. And so we get Picard uniforms, Picard ships, and it's very current. Mark, and yes, Mark's... and those that donated Indiegogos, I had planned on putting your ships in this series, which I did, like 6 months ago. So there's like 11 ships, characters, people in this, with all night like proper places, as 2 of them in the trailer. So they've been there for a while. I didn't forget about them. They've been there for a while. And yeah, Mark, his recommended, his request ship was in there, and he got destroyed in time. So we got time killed. Huzzah!
As we all do. We all get time killed eventually.
Eventually. So yeah, please go support. Please go share it. Very, very important. Very, very important. All right. And tomorrow, Trekyards, which I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit then as well. It's tomorrow Saturday. Yes, it is. Trekyards.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
new episode of Trekyards and Drunkyards as well.
My birthday. I got some presents. They'll be really fun. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So see us then.
See us then.
We'll see you then.
Yes.
Until next time, which is tomorrow. You better be there. He's Commander Cockings.
He's got a Foley.